Hey YouTube, how's it going? Malagant here. We are going to be talking about basically the quality of life changes that we would like to see in Forgotten Gods. Obviously, like most of them are coming from me, but at the same time, this is something that we have been discussing on the stream. Before getting into this, I should probably apologize. There might be some sort of like a keyboard and like mouse clicks and like some sort of like hitting to the desk sort of sounds, but like I'm having a problem with microphone with YouTube apparently, so I did increase the gain just a little bit. It will most likely make some sort of effects. If that's the case, apologies. Anyways, let's while talking about this, I'm searching for a ring drop from Alchemos. How about we run a Steps of Torment? So yeah, back to the topic. We're going to be talking about quality of life changes that, as a community, at least on my stream, that we came up with, and most of the people did in fact like pitch in and agreed with everything that I will be kind of mentioning. I'll also like try to explain what I kind of mean by them. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is going to be actually a couple of search functions in the game and interface changes. Most of the things that I'm going to be suggesting are not going to be anything that's really easy to, let's say, implement. At least in my opinion. Obviously, it might be a lot different on the other end. But that being said, it's not going to be something like, okay, let's have this for the end game or anything. No, definitely not. It's just all about, really small changes that would make our life more fun and a lot easier to control this game. At the same time, have it a lot easier on us. So the first point is going to be about the stash and crafting, I think, for the most part. You kind of like hoard quite a bit in this game, definitely. And at the end of the day, you're playing an ARPG, you would definitely love to hoard as much as you can. So the first thing is obviously the space that we have on our stashes. Lots of people are using some infinite stash space mods. I personally don't use them. I started using a lot of mules though. But that being said, I would definitely like some sort of like obviously more space, like infinite even, if possible. It is probably not possible since they are not doing it. I don't necessarily know for sure. But I would definitely like some sort of like a better interface that is capable of doing some sort of search. So basically, if I'm searching for like a chess piece, instead of hovering over every single chess piece that I have in the bank or the stash, instead I can write on a search bar and we will be fine. So the same thing can be used on the blacksmith as well. They did, I think, if I'm not mistaken, mention that they're considering to make a new interface for the crafting for Grim Dawn, which would be incredible, because when you're crafting like a tier 3 relic, let's say, something like the one that I'm using right here, Ignifier's Combustion, there's going to be a lot of different crafting that you will need to go through, scrolling back and forth. Just a simple search function would definitely make it so much easier. That's another thing that I definitely like and would like to suggest, for sure. And on top of everything, probably a better interface for the crafting would be really good as well. Now, the last search function that I'm going to be talking about is going to be for the devotion side. I think this should be pretty easy as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is if you have used grimtools.com, and over there it actually has, like, when you're theory crafting a build or when you're looking for someone's build, or just at the devotions, you're actually capable of like writing some sort of like something like, let's say, health in the search function, and it will like highlight the health nodes of devotion. That would be a massive addition to this game as well, in my opinion, to the devotion parts. Now, we have suggested the search functions. In my opinion, they would make it definitely a lot better. A really good quality of life changes. I would love to see that. Now, on to the next point. The next one is going to be about components and how they are basically acting in your bags. So as you can see, they're always like with this button, they're always piling up on this side, and then with that button they're kind of like having a better order or something. Now what I would like to have is that like components trying to stack a little bit better, something like maybe on your main, or maybe having another button over here that will basically let you gather all the components from all the other sides, even if they don't necessarily have a stack, just like gather them all over here. Or maybe even another button that is capable of sending every single component that you have into your stash. So you don't necessarily have so much micromanagement anymore, you know, like taking this over there, taking from there over there, taking from there over there. This is something that you actually need to do if you would like to have some sort of like a, you know, clean bag. And even then, once this thing goes like full leathery hide, a new one that is going to drop to, you know, the first empty slot. And if it's not over here, it will be somewhere around there, and it will never unite again. So you probably understand what I'm saying. Some sort of like a better behavior, let's say, with the components and how they're stacking, and maybe even a little bit easier way of like sending the components to stash would definitely go a long way in my opinion in this game. From this, I would also like to suggest that I would definitely love to auto pick up the components. Maybe not everyone is agreeing on this, but I have seen a lot of people are suggesting to even use like an injection tool right now that is pretty popular in the game, to basically, you know, auto pick up the tools, so the components, sorry. So that being said, I would definitely love to have some sort of like an implementation of components, at least maybe an option over here in the general, that you would like to pick up the components automatically as you like, you know, go close to them or towards the vicinity. I don't necessarily think this should be so hard to implement either, because like lots of things are already, you know, auto-pickable, like iron bits or like health potions and whatnot. So it should probably be okay just to like add on top of that list the type of components as well, and it should be fine, I am guessing. But that would be something that I would definitely like, especially for the new players. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a chore to basically, you know, pick every single component. Not only that, but on top of that, they will need to get used to like what every single component is. So they're picking something up, not only they don't know what they're picking, but also they're not using it, so it's kind of weird. At least it would be an auto pickup. So that being said, on to the next one. I would definitely love to continue about the items a little bit, talk about the items. So I'm going to be mentioning about like the tooltips about both the skills and the items. Okay, let's talk about the items first. So as you can see, for instance, this item right over here is like 68% pierce damage and then 85% elemental damage. One really good quality of life upgrade would be a modifier that I can hold down, something like Alt, and it will show me the ranges of the rolls so that I can sort of understand if I have a good item or not. This is it would be an incredible addition to this game, and I don't necessarily know if it would be an easy way to implement this or not. On top of this, there are some really annoying things in this game when it comes to like understanding, especially at the very start, without, you know, going through the wiki or like some forum posts maybe, to understand how the mechanics are working. Some things are really different named or like mentioned. So if you pay attention over here, for instance, on my physical part, it will say lifesteal, and then if you pay attention over here, it will say on the components, we are taking the life steal from the component, it will say haunted steel, attack damage converted to health. And then against this, the resistance that is going is life leech resistance. So we have life leech, we have attack damage conversion to health, and we have life steal. Literally everything is same. The same thing can be said about some of the cooldowns of the abilities, like skill recharge and how the interactions are working. It is really fuzzy to understand. Sometimes they're in fact working against how they should. So this one, for instance, would say 8 seconds duration and then 15.2 second recharge. Does that mean we have 7.2 seconds cooldown, or does that mean 15? In fact, it is 15 seconds cooldown, but it's obviously really easy to confuse this. Incredibly easy, in fact. There are some more interactions that I can go into, so basically just a little bit better of an explanation. And on top of this, what I'm going to add is that we can also have some sort of like a modifier again in the game that we can hold down, and it will make a really more detailed way of an explanation of an ability. Some abilities definitely are easier to understand than others, hands down. But some of them are really more complicated than others too, especially for new players. So when it comes to Grim Dawn doesn't necessarily handhold all that much, and maybe that is even a good thing. For the most part, it actually is, definitely. But there's a difference between being confusing and, in my honest opinion at least, there's a difference between being confusing, not really well written, or just not hand-holding. If I could understand, if I could, you know, explain what I'm trying to say at least, I think that's the best way to put it. Another suggestion that one of my community members on stream said was how you kind of undo when you're distributing, you know, either devotion points or skill points. This is a really interesting suggestion, and I think it's really cool, because sometimes you know, you're spending that one little point by mistake while spending like 10 points, and just because of that you need to click undo and all the 10 points goes back, right? So maybe instead of just clicking undo, you can like right click after spending it to take it away. Obviously not to respect the entire thing, that's literally not what I'm trying to say. It's basically the points that we have spent before I'm committing, I should be able to right click to, you know, have a little bit more flexible undo mechanic, let's say. Just checking the list here if I'm forgetting anything. I think I've pretty much covered almost everything. Detailed tooltips, better tooltips, flexible undo, auto pickup, we have already talked about it. The last thing that I can mention is that this was another community member's suggestion, the fact that like you can have some sort of like an overlay map, just like in any other game, any other ARPG. That would be pretty cool as well. Personally, I actually don't think that is necessary for Grim Dawn, basically because there's a pretty big map on the right side. I really got used to it, and I can really interact with my tab map as well, like this layout right over here. So I don't necessarily need that would be an addition, but at least it was something that a lot of people said, yeah, that would be cool. So I'm going to be mentioning that as well. Now that being said, this is a format that I'm not necessarily used to. I'm not only playing in Steps of Torment, but at the same time speaking, and I'm in PJs also. So I didn't necessarily make this straight and right into, let's say, right into the subject or like to the topic. It was a little bit more relaxed for me. I really hope you don't mind this type of content. Thank you for watching. I would like to hear what else you can come up with when it comes to like quality of life changes for Forgotten Gods. See you next time.